All right, guys, well, welcome. Glad that you're here today. I'm gonna try and stay on camera, so I'm gonna be right here most of the time. But today we're gonna talk about the buyer's appointment. And, you're gonna find that a lot of today, we're not gonna talk about what happens at the appointment. We are gonna talk about what happens at the appointment, but more key thing, I want you guys to understand why the appointment is so important. And that's what we're gonna spend a lot of time talking about today. Cause one of the things we see is there are a lot of agents out there that don't hold buyer's appointments. You know, where does their relationship start with a client? You know, they're working with a buyer, they started at the house. You know, they emailed, they talked on the phone, they figured out a couple of properties they wanna go see, and they go show up at the house and they start showing it. And then they try and fill in all the gaps. As things go wrong, as we move from step to step, they try and manage it as best they can. But as we go into and we talk, the first thing that I really want you guys to take away from this is what's the benefit to you for having a buyer's appointment? I think that if you understand the why behind that, then you will be like, I always want to have a buyer's appointment. And understanding the why is it important for your client? What's the benefit to them? And that's gonna help you in two ways. One, it's gonna help you sell the appointment to your client, and it's gonna help them understand and appreciate why that appointment's important. And they'll be more receptive when you get there. So, the first question, so why have a buyer's appointment? You know, what's the benefit of the buyer's appointment? And the short answer is, it's your easy button, okay? Everything in life, working with a buyer, is going to be easier if you have a buyer's appointment. If you don't, you're gonna have frustrations, you're gonna have struggles throughout the whole thing, because, let me ask you this, how often does the typical person buy a home?
Probably 2 or 3 times in their life.
Oh, 2 or 3 times in their life, you know? Maybe a few more than that, you know, potentially 5 times in their life, because you figure the average is 7 to 10 years, okay, over their whole lifespan. You spread that out.
Hopefully
But
they start
still,
early.
You do something 4, 5, 6 times in your life. Are you an expert at it?
No,
No,
it's gonna change every time.
it's gonna be different every time, okay? Markets change, conditions change, processes change, technology changes, laws change, that's exactly right. And so, when a buyer decides in today's market that they wanna buy, do they really have any good understanding of what to expect?
No.
No, okay? And where do they get that information from? From you, the agent. Well, when's the right time to tell them what to expect? Before you start working together, or halfway through the transaction?
Before you start working together.
Before you start working together. So, when we really break it down as to why, I wanna talk about the benefits to you as an agent, why you want an appointment, but then I wanna talk about why the buyer wants the appointment. So, the first one is it uncovers the seriousness of the buyer, okay? If you have a potential buyer and they're not willing to meet you, they just wanna meet at the property, what does that tell you about A, how serious they are?
Not serious.
Not serious, and even if they are serious about buying a
They're not
house,
serious about you.
they're not
as
serious
the-
about you as the agent. There is no loyalty there. They will run you around and look at a few houses and then boom, they'll jump to the next one as soon as you're not available at their beck and call. Is that the kind of relationship you wanna have?
No.
No, okay? The second thing that it does, it gives you the opportunity to set the right expectations, okay? When would be, give me an example, what kind of a market are we in right now?
Sellers.
Heavy seller's market, right? Well, when's the right time to have that conversation? When we're getting ready to make an offer and we're trying to convince them to raise their price?
No.
No,
Absolutely.
I wanna have that conversation way ahead of time, okay? What about setting the expectations around lending? Don't quit your job, don't buy a car, don't, close any
Right.
accounts down, you know?
Don't
Do-
get
do I
money
do
from-
that?
Don't get money from all over the place and put in your accounts.
Yeah, do we have that conversation once we're under contract? Or do we, it's too late at that point, they may have already taken one of those steps, so. And if I'm meeting somebody at the house for the first time,
Mhm.
okay, and I didn't have a buyer's appointment, what are they thinking about at the house?
They're thinking about everything about the house.
They're thinking about the
except for
house.
you.
Are they thinking about anything about the process or market conditions or, no. And even if you try and put that into the conversation, how much of your attention do you have?
No.
Not much.
None. Yeah. So the buyer's appointment is the only real opportunity to do that. This is also the best opportunity to showcase your value, okay? Because when we're talking about buyers, what's the perceived value? Why are they wanting to talk to you at all?
Cause they're hoping you get their best interest, or you.
You're the expert.
Maybe, but when do they call you?
After they're
After-
almost done searching Zillow,
Because they want somebody to do what?
The legwork.
finally make that deal for them, negotiate for
I don't know
them.
about that. They want you to open
So
the
then
door.
open the door.
They want you to open the door.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That's the value. If they could go see the properties without you,
They
when would
never
they call you?
Never.
Never.
Probably before they're willing to make an offer. And they might call the listing agent before then, okay?
Yeah.
So when do you have a chance to tell them, hey, listen, this is what I do for my clients. This is why you should work with me.
At that
It's
appointment.
only in the appointment. You know, we can't have that conversation while we're walking around the house and talking about the kitchen and the bathroom and the backyard, okay? This is the best time to uncover their motivation, okay? And where this is so important is there are times through the transaction where the buyer may stall. You know, they, I don't know, we don't wanna offer that much, we wanna keep our payment to here. Or maybe, yeah, we kinda like that house, but let's go see if there's something else out there. You know, if we don't know what their motivation is, we don't know what their priority is, we really don't have any leverage, okay? And not that we ever want to convince a buyer to make a bad decision.
Oh, yeah.
But when we're there at the house and we know it's the house and they're just having a little bit of cold feet, what's it gonna take to get them to take that next step?
The
Well,
motivation.
It's taking them back to their motivation. You know, you remember, you know how frustrating it is right now. You need that extra bedroom. How much better is life gonna be with that extra bedroom? How much more did you wanna be closer to the grandkids? You know, think about how nice it's gonna be not having that 45-minute drive back and forth to work, okay? If we don't know their motivation, all we can talk about is the house, okay? And do people buy the house because of the wood and the paint and or are they buying a lifestyle?
Yeah.
They're buying a lifestyle. And so understanding what that motivation is the only way that we're gonna be able to keep that train moving down the track. Next thing it does is it saves you time, okay? And it does this in a whole lot of ways, okay? One, you won't find yourself having to explain things over and over again, okay? Because you're explaining it when they are fully attentive, okay? Two, what's our biggest time suck in the business? Showing houses, okay? So do I wanna go show a client 40 or 50 houses?
Nope.
No. If I have the opportunity to really dig down and really find out what they really want, okay, I can help narrow that search. I don't wanna go look at 50 houses, I wanna go look at the 6 best houses for them and help them get there faster, okay? So when's my opportunity to really get a sense of what's important to them and what they're, it's at the buyer's consultation, yeah. Otherwise, you're discovering things along the way. We go look at this house and we find out the yard's too small. We go look at this house and we find out that they don't like stained cabinets. We go to this house and we find out they want a separate shower and tub, okay? We could have uncovered all of those sorts of things in the consultation. We didn't need to drive around town and look at 10 properties and find out, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this. We could have done that in a conversation, okay? Much faster way to get there. And then lastly, we get a signed buyer's brokerage agreement, okay? For agents that meet at a house, okay, when do they normally get a signed buyer's brokerage agreement?
Contract.
When they're writing the contract.
Okay.
That's exactly right. Okay, in order for me to put the contract together for you, I need to get a buyer's brokerage agreement, my broker requires this, okay? Well, I've been working with them for 6 weeks, okay? What might happen in those 6 weeks?
Somebody could
Somebody else
change
get
their
it
mind.
repaired?
They go to another agent. I lose that opportunity. They go walk into, they're out driving around on the weekend, okay? Cause we weren't looking at houses that weekend together, and they see a brand new neighborhood being built, and they go in and they sit down in the model home and talk to the little listing agent that's sitting there behind the kitchen table, and what do? They write a contract, and guess who doesn't get paid? You, okay? Before I spend and invest a whole bunch of time with someone and I go look at a bunch of property, I want their commitment that they're as committed to me as I am to them, okay? And it's really awkward. We're in the middle of looking at houses. We've looked at 6 houses. We haven't found the right one yet. Why are they gonna sign a buyer's brokerage agreement now?
Right.
They're getting everything they want without having to commit to us.
No, they're really questioning what are they signing.
Yeah, now what are they signing, okay? Whereas at the buyer's consultation, you do a good job with a consultation, the natural conclusion for that appointment is you hire me. And this is how you hire me, is you sign the buyer's brokerage agreement, okay? So can we all agree that at least for you as an agent, having the consultation is a much better scenario? Okay. So what's the benefit for the client? Well, first off, it saves them time, okay? And that's the way I sell the appointment to them, okay? Is I want to save you time. And the best use of our time is me getting really clear on what it is you're looking for so I can help you get there faster, okay? And I can't just do that on the phone, okay? You're not just looking for a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, around 2,000 square feet in Brookwood High School. That's not what you're looking for, right? You're looking for a certain style. You're looking for a type of yard. You want to be in this type of a neighborhood. You want this one. The more of that I know and understand, the faster I'm going to be at helping you find it, okay? And I've got better tools to search with than any client's going to have. You know, they've got Zillow, they've got my app, they've got, you know, other apps that are available to them, other websites. But can they go in and choose, I want granite countertops? Can they choose, I want lot sizes of this? No, they don't have all those options. So my search tools are a lot stronger than theirs are. So it's gonna save them time. 2, it gives them clarity about what to expect, okay? And I want you guys to think, when are the times when you get most frustrated? It's when something happens that you didn't expect. Right? If you know something's gonna be a problem or it's gonna be an issue ahead of time, is it ever as bad as when it just comes out of the blue? Okay? So being able to help them understand, hey, here's what the whole process, because it's been 10 years since they bought. Here's the whole process. And these are the things that we're gonna do here, and these are how things can go good, this is how things go bad. This is what happens here, here's how things go good, here's how things go bad. It's gonna help them understand along the way and help them with their planning and negotiating at every step. And then lastly, it gives them an opportunity to see if I'm a right fit for them, okay? Do I have the experience, the negotiations, the personality that they're gonna want to, okay? So if I want a buyer to agree to an appointment, okay, and keep in mind, how long has it been since this off-water sold happened? 7 or 10 years. Do they know what the normal process is? No. So if I say to them, our first step is for you and me to meet, do they know anything different? No. It's us. We don't ask for it, and so we don't get it. If you make that part of, this is my plan, and we ask for that meeting, they're gonna give you that meeting, by far the majority of the time. Every once in a while, they're gonna ask you, well, why do we need to meet? Well, this is what they care about. This is the conversation we need to have. This is why we need to meet. You know, because I wanna save you time during the process by making sure I'm really clear on what it is you want. And I wanna make sure you and I are clear on what all the steps are, so we can move really fast in today's competitive market. Does that sound good? Yes, great. Saturday morning or Sunday afternoon gonna be better for us to meet? Okay, it's that simple, it's not a hard sell if you've got the right script, okay? But we've gotta show them the benefit of meeting with us to make it easy. So, I've got a bunch of slides now that I wanna kind of walk you guys through that are really gonna reinforce this, and help you understand the mindset going into an appointment, okay? And this is all about the statistics around buyers, okay? So, and the first one is gonna be the primary reason for purchasing a home. So we talked about motivation being one of the things we wanna uncover. Well, I want you guys, outside of just wanting to own a home, okay? Look at the spread of what the percentages are. 9% want a bigger home, 7 wanna be closer to their job, 8% are because there's been a change in their family situation, 9% a desire to be closer to family and friends. Do you see all these wide variety of solutions? It's not like there's a one-size-fits-all motivation for buyers out there. There's lots of reasons, and they're pretty evenly distributed. So if I'm gonna be able to motivate them and help them through the process, don't you think I should have clarity around this if I wanna serve them at the highest level? Absolutely, okay? And for the first steps in the buying process, so when they interview buyers and ask them, what was the first thing you did, okay? Well, 44% look for properties online. That's pretty natural, right? We kinda do that with everything now, right? You wanna shop for a dress or shoes or whatever it is, dishes, online's a natural place to go and look, and we made it really easy for real estate. So they'll start to search there, but look at what number 2 is. They contacted a real estate agent, okay? Why do you think they contacted a real estate agent?
Open the door again.
Open the door is one of the potentials, okay? But if you look at number 3, looked online for information about the buying
They don't know
process.
the process.
They don't know the process. They want help, okay? They're out there if they've decided I want to buy, they're hungry for help, okay? They may not voice it. They don't know the process. They think the first step of the process is go unlock the door, and that's the role we need. But they want more information about the process. And you being willing and giving them that information and sitting down and having a good consultation will really set you apart as being an expert, okay? Some of the other things in there, only 7% contact the lender first, okay? But look at the next one. They talked with a friend or a relative about the buying process. Again, looking for information, okay? So when we talk about information, sources that buyers use, obviously online was definitely one where they looked for information. But look at the number 2 source of information for buyers. Real estate agent. They know we're the pro. They want to ask us questions. They want that opportunity. Don't feel like you're inconveniencing them and you're being restrictive wanting to have that appointment. They are going to come out of that appointment appreciative and better prepared for what's to come than if we don't have it, okay? How buyers found their agent. And I just kind of threw this one in. This really doesn't have as much to do with the appointment, but it's just a reminder to you guys how important your database and the relationships that you have. Number 1, referred by a friend, neighbor, or relative. Number 2, used a previous agent. Number 3, referred by another real estate agent. All of those are referrals or relationships that already existed, okay? So the more people we're in relationships with, the more buyers we're gonna get, okay? Nothing else comes close. You know, 5% found them on a website, 5% met them at an open house, 4% were contacted at random by a real estate agent. Somebody cold calling them and caught them at the right time, okay? So you consider all this other stuff, them seeing your sign, referred to the employer, walked into, cold calling people does still work. These are stats from 2020, okay? So cold calling still works. So, now what do buyers want from their agent? Okay, well, number one, help finding the right home to purchase. Not finding a home to purchase, finding the right home. How will you know what the right home is?
It's gonna be the one that fit their needs.
Yeah.
That they're in love with.
So how do you know what their needs are?
By talking
You'd have already
By
discovered
talking
it
to
from the
them.
appointment.
Yes, that is exactly right. That's, when you're trying to sell them on the appointment, it goes back to that first thing. I want better clarity on exactly what it is you're looking for, so I can help you find the right home. And if you look at all the other stuff, are they thinking about negotiating the sales terms, the price negotiations, help with the paperwork, price of comparable home? A few people are, but it doesn't come anywhere close to comparing help with the search to find the right home, okay? So that's what we need to be selling, is we want to help you find the right home. So, the most important factors for buyers when hiring a real estate agent, what's number one up there?
Honesty and trustworthy.
Honesty and trustworthy, okay? Do they get that from me in a 2-minute phone conversation? No. Do they get that from me when we go show houses together? No, okay? That appointment is that time that I can establish that, where I really show an interest in them and what they need, and I'm able to show them what my mindset in helping buyers are, and everything I do for those buyers. That's gonna give them trust in me. Do most of them care about experience? 17%. You guys are new, okay? I want you to see that, to understand you're not at a disadvantage, okay? Or whatever disadvantage you have is small, okay? They care much more about you being honest and trustworthy than they do how long you've been in the business, okay? Reputation, they're a friend or family member, knowledge of neighborhood. So lots of other things that they're interested in. Do they care what company you're with? No, okay? You are the brand. You're who they're hiring, okay? So you really need to be prepared to showcase your personality and your commitment to them. So, how many agents does the average buyer interview?
Wow.
75% of the time, they only talk to one, okay? So, if you're gonna meet with a buyer,
You're the first one.
be the first one, number one, because odds are you're gonna be the only one, okay? So, what do we need to do? We need to talk to people to make sure we're the first real estate agent that they talk to. Because if we are the first person they talk to, we can show them that we're honest and trustworthy, they're gonna hire us. It's really that simple. You know, only 7% talk to 10 talk to 3 or more, okay? And some of the thing in this 3 or more, one of the reasons I would contend that number is as high as it is what did the first one not do?
Follow up.
Didn't follow up, but they didn't get
They didn't do a buy-in.
they didn't do a buyer's brokerage agreement. They started working with an agent, and then they kind of just shifted and went and called another agent, said, hey, can I see this house? And they called another agent and said, can I go and see this house? Because the first agent didn't set an appointment, sit down with them, explain the process, and get them to make a commitment to work with them. I don't think most people interview 4 agents and have meetings with 4 agents and then pick their favorite one. They just, during that process, they moved from one to the other because they weren't committed to any one of them. Does that make sense?
And I think that's a reflection of how you perceive the agent will be dealing with you, because I'm thinking about when I did my home buying process, I went to the 3rd agent, and 2, they were referred to me by other people, but the first one says, okay, go ahead and go look at the house and look through the window and see if you like it. The second one, she wasn't showing me anything that was good, but they have never had an appointment with me or anything like that. The 3rd one, I think she did pretty much made an appointment and we signed something. So I guess now that you're talking about it, I'm actually seeing that, I actually went through possibly two agents before I got to the third one.
Yeah.
And it's because I didn't have an agreement, because I would have think that, you know what, I can't get out of it.
And you didn't have an agreement because you didn't have the appointment until the third one.
We just went straight to
We
showing.
just went straight to showing.
Wow.
Okay, so that's just great validation for what I was saying. And when it comes to the buyer's brokerage agreement, 39% had a written agreement. 19% just had a verbal agreement. Is there such a thing? No, there's not. 28% said no. So 47% didn't have a buyer's brokerage agreement, or at least the buyer believes they did not have a buyer's brokerage agreement. 14% didn't know. Only 39% knew they had actually hired that agent and made a commitment to that agent. Okay? What do you think that number ought to be?
80.
100? It should be
It should
100%.
be, yes, everybody should be done.
Every single, if you're representing a buyer, okay, you ought to have a written agreement that defines what that relationship looks like. Okay, that gives you permissions to do these things and guarantees you that if you successfully do them, this is how you're gonna be compensated. It's a protection both ways. It's a protection for the buyer, it's a protection.
Why has it
For the
fallen
client.
off since, well, I guess there's less buyers and also the proportion. I just wonder
No,
why.
there's tons of buyers, right? There's more buyers than there are
No,
sellers.
I'm
right
just
now.
looking at the percentage, I see in '06 it was 44% to 39% now.
And it probably has more to do with the fact that, over those years, the number of real estate agents has increased.
Oh, okay.
And so there's lots of newer agents
Right.
with less
So
skill
the average
and less
is, yes.
confidence,
Mhm.
okay, is probably where we've seen that slide a little bit. That really, it would please me greatly to see that be 80% or higher, but I think it should be 100, okay? So, we're ready to go on our appointment? Ready?
Okay.
You guys are in agreement with me. The buyer's consultation, super important, right? Have to have that, okay? It sets everything straight. So let's talk about what the different elements of a buyer's consultation are. What do we actually do at the appointment, okay? And it's really simple. And that's one of the things that so frustrates me that agents don't do it and don't feel like they need to do it, because it's such a simple thing to do. And I don't want you guys thinking that it's this big, huge, crazy, complicated process that I have to walk people through. It's really not. One, I wanna uncover the buyer's needs, wants, and their motivation. How do I do that?
By having a conversation.
By having a conversation with them, okay? And I may go in with some questions written down to make sure I don't forget to ask something that was important to me. But is it really hard for me to ask people about what are they looking for in their next house?
Yeah.
Is being close to work important to you? Do you have family nearby that you're looking to be close to? Are you preferring to be in a neighborhood, or is that not important to you? There's lots of questions that create a better picture. Every single one of those situations, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, 2,000 square feet in Brookwood does not get answered. Those are all very different things that helps us pinpoint. Number one, set expectations, okay? How do we set expectations?
Telling them ahead of time?
Yeah, so they don't know what's gonna happen in the process. So if we want them to know what happens in the sales process, how do we convey that?
At the appointment.
That's the point, we just tell them, right? Hey, here's what's gonna happen as we work together. This is what we're gonna do first. This is what we're gonna do second. This is what we're gonna do third.
Would that be good then to have, that's what, at that point in time, you have like your roadmap to the.
Yeah, you'll have your presentation, and I'll show you that in just a second. I've got, I'm gonna show you, we're gonna pull up one of the, ones in command.
Okay.
And I'll show you exactly what's in it, because it covers all of this. And it gives you the perfect framework. You just need to go through and tweak it for yourself, okay? The third one, showcase your value proposition, okay? Why should somebody hire you? So is that a complicated conversation? Okay? It's your availability, okay? It's your negotiation skills, it's who you've chosen to be in business with, it's the vendor partners that you have, it's the special things that you're able to do because you're with Keller Williams, like Keller Mortgage. Should that be part of your value proposition?
Yes.
I can get you a loan with no lender fees, or I can say I can get you a loan. You know, we have access to a program, you know, with no lender fees up to $1,000 cash back. But you can only have access to that if you're working with a Keller Williams agent. All that's part of your buyer's proposition, okay? And then, if I've done a good job of that, okay, I feel like I understand exactly what you're looking for, okay? You understand what it's gonna take for us to get into that new home. Here's what I can do for you. Does it seem like I'm the right agent for you? Yes, great, then let's make it official and you hire me. Okay, I mean, it just naturally flows right into it. And then once they've hired me, what do we talk about? What's next? Okay, and so let's go through, before we talk about what next steps are, I wanna jump over into Command and show you one of these presentations, and there's 5 of them that are in Command right now. I've already pulled up Command, so I go to Designs. I want to add a new design. I'm going to go to Print, and Next. Alright, there's something in the settings, it's not relevant here. Alright, not letting me in. My eyes aren't good enough to see the small print.
Probably work better with Google Chrome versus what's.
Yeah, that's what I was in, and it wasn't letting me into it, so I was gonna try Firefox real quick, instead of trying to clear my cache. Let's see, this worked on my computer just a minute ago. It's wonderful when it works and frustrating when it doesn't, isn't it?
Mhm. Very much so.
Alright, well, I don't wanna go through and fool with this one right now. I'm trying to clear cache and get that to open. So I'm gonna go to an alternative spot, and it's Michael Lewis Marketing Suite. And I'm gonna show you the buyer's presentation over here. Cause it's gonna be fairly similar to, what we find in Command, but I want you to see how, this works. This is another editable, buyer's consultation. And you'll see as I go in and I personalize it and I set it up, and I scroll down, you will see it has, who this is for, and in this one, they start with what the home buying process looks like, okay? And I liked this, so I'm gonna show you guys, I recreated this from my presentation, but I tweaked a few things. So this little box right here is gonna look a little bit different in mine, because I wanted to have a different conversation. And so this is actually a really good example of how, you can present things a little bit differently. In the one in command, they start out with a list of questions, okay? So I just want you to understand those things that we talked about that you need to do: showcase your values, set expectations, and uncover needs, wants, and motivation. You figure out what story you want to tell this. In the command one, they uncover needs, wants, and motivations first. In this one, they're going over setting expectations first, okay? Neither one's right or wrong. It's just a different way of presenting the same information. But we walk them through the home buying presentation, and then we take them through each of the different steps, the mortgage and loan process, down to closing. But then we tell them that it's all about you, okay? The reason I'm here today is figure out about you, okay? And I want to find out more, so I'm gonna get basic information. And they gave me a long list of questions to help me better understand what it is that they're wanting, okay? So questions about lifestyle, questions about location. We scroll. General questions, structure and exterior. I'm just going so fast. Interior, bedrooms, bathrooms, kitchen. And you'll see it's not just how many bedrooms do you need, how will you use each of these bedrooms, okay? Because I talked to somebody and they said they want a four-bedroom house. You know, well, how will you use each of those rooms, okay? Well, me and my wife are gonna have one. We've got a little boy, a little girl, and the fourth bedroom's for an office. Do they really need a four-bedroom house? No. A 3-bedroom with a bonus room that could be the office would work perfect for them, okay? Well, that influenced how I search for properties for them. If I just went straight off of I need 4 bedrooms, I may have just taken their dream home out of the mix. But by having these deeper questions, it helps me get them to the right home better. That's just a great example. What's important in the kitchen, the dining room, and I don't know if you guys know or not, but a lot of modern homes don't have a dining room. How many people use dining room anymore?
They don't.
They don't.
Yeah,
You have the eating kitchen
house.
and yeah, there is no dining room in those houses. So the living room, family room, and the sunroom. And I ask those questions, you know, understand, I don't want this to be an interrogation. You know, this isn't, you know, question number 1 is blah, 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 question number 2, blah, blah, blah. You know, I want to have conversations around this, okay? And I want to take good notes on all of this. And if I spend this much time trying to understand what's important to them, what do you think's happening to that honesty and trust level? It's building, yeah. That most important thing they want. Because when I'm having this conversation, is it about me and the commission I'm gonna make?
Mm-hmm.
Not at all. It's all about them, right? Okay? And then we get back to, after asking a few more questions, you know, some frequently asked questions. How does someone win or lose with you? Okay? Why do you think I'm asking that question?
Because you wanna know what you're supposed to do for them.
Before I
and
tell them
what
why they
you
should hire me, I wanna know what it is they want. You know, it tells me what do I need to focus on next, okay? And then I talk about, well, moving checklist is kind of an add-in. Above and beyond, what's my commitment, what's my guarantee to you, okay? What's ahead, da, da, da. So, and I wish I could get back into, because the new ones in command look really good. And I really like this, your guide to home ownership one right here. I haven't been through all of them. I'm gonna give this one more try to get into command and see if that was just maybe a momentary glitch. Cause they've been doing some big updates here. Yay! Okay, so then over here under buyer and buyer's presentation, we can go pick the one we want. I wanna use this. And you're gonna see a lot of this is very similar to what we just looked at, it's just presented in a different order. So as I'm building this, okay, you'll see as I look down here, these are the pages that are in my presentation right now. How many pages do you see in my presentation? None. So as I go through these, I say, I want this one in my presentation, and then it will drop it down here in the bottom. Okay. And if I don't want that one in my presentation, then I can take it out. Let's go, I'm gonna delete that one. Okay. And so while I have all of these pages to choose from, I can pick what order I want them in and which pages I want to include or not. And I can go in and edit any of these pages.
So, my question
but- Go ahead.
is, if you found something in the other buyer presentation template that you like, are you able to move it from one
Yeah,
template to the other
absolutely.
to take it over? there?
Cause I can go take a screenshot of the other one and save it as a picture, and I can load it as a picture in here, or I can copy the text over there and paste the
okay,
text
just
over
add it,
here. And, so this is intended to be completely editable for you. So, and that's what I encourage you to do.
Okay.
That there may be other stuff that, you know, like when it talks about some of the do's and don'ts in here for when you have a loan, you may wanna go steal what Supreme Lending put together and put Supreme Lending's in here. You know, to start building validity there. There may be something that, while there is some content from Keller Mortgage in here, there's more that's out there. You may wanna put more in here. Do that, that's great. But you will see, and I love this table of contents page, only because it's a complete validation of what we just talked about. So what are we gonna talk about? Your dream home, your preferences, your neighborhood. What do you want, need, and what's your motivation, okay? That's where they start with the conversation. Then buying one-on-one. What's the process? What are the expectations through the process? And then lastly, at your service and my promise. What's my value? Okay?
So do you give that to the buyer, you just study it so you know it ahead of time?
Well, I study it so I know it ahead of time, and I bring it in a brochure, because I wanna be able to leave this behind.
Right.
But the natural thing
Right.
is we sit down and we have a conversation, I pull this stuff out, and I go through it, and I have a conversation. I ask my questions, which you'll see as we move over here. I'm asking your needs come first, build your preference profile, and then look in here. Who will be living in the home? Let's list adults, children, pets that will inhabit the space. They've got really conversational questions in here. I'm asking these questions and I'm taking notes. So I'm not gonna leave these pages behind, but they're out on the table. They're seeing me write, they're seeing me take an interest in what they're saying. I'm not just listening, I'm recording it. But it's your home wish list, and it walks you through all of these different pages of questions, and you'll see there's 5 pages of questions that are in here. You may decide, I don't wanna ask that many questions, let's take some of these out. Some of these I'm gonna remember to ask myself, okay? But some of them, I don't wanna forget to ask it, that's a great question. I'm gonna leave that in there, okay? And some of those follow-up questions, maybe I don't need, you know, they say, you know, is this important to you? And you say no, well, there may be 2 questions after that, I don't need to ask now,
Right.
okay? So it's okay for me to have those in there. But then we've got our neighborhood preference, okay? Getting to know your neighborhood, but then they go into map your move, okay? So, you've gotta go through and figure out, like, if we knew they were looking in a certain neighborhood, we can pull in neighborhood insights, if we knew that before the appointment, and bring some information in there, okay? But instead of having that chart, they do it as a list. You know, your first step is partner with an agent, and then they've got, you know, what does that mean? And then the second step is get pre-approved for your loan. What does that mean? In step 3. You can customize this however you want to. I like the visual personally of the other way. This looks good though, with the nice modern dots and the lines, so whatever suits you better.
Too much
Huh?
I would get bored by all the.
Yeah, it could be for certain people, okay? Then we talk about support documents. So when you get to the financing, we're talking about getting a loan or getting pre-approved. That's what I'm saying. You may not want all of this stuff in here. It doesn't need to be in here. But all those things that we said needed to be a part of it, there's plenty in here for you to be able to do that really fast, okay? And then we get down to, here's my promise to you, okay? What is this? This is your value proposition. Here's what I'm gonna do for you. This is what my role is like, in there. Potentially a promise to the community, search safely, the bottom line, your app, commonly used terms. Pick and choose what you want in there, okay? But that gives you a really good sense of what goes in the buyer presentation. So all that stuff we said we needed to do, if we just print that out and take that with us, it's gonna tell us what to do. We just gotta turn the pages and do what's on each page.
Right, and
Have
the more
those
you do it,
conversations.
it becomes easier.
Yeah, and every single one of them's gonna become easier. That is exactly right. So, on mine, I took that one that they did and I kind of modified it a little bit. And so you'll see, instead of choose your real estate agent being first, really choose your agent or get pre-qualified. Because when you went back and you looked at what do they do first, they may already have their pre-qualification, okay? So I don't need to say, okay, well, I know you're already pre-qualified, but the second step is be pre-qualified. So I just kind of like this. We can do both of those at the same time, okay? Then clarify your needs and wants, and that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna sit and we're gonna have a conversation and really understand what it is. Then we're gonna go searching for properties, okay? And my preference is we search online first, you know, and we really narrow down, and then we just go visit the very best properties, okay? You don't wanna go look at 60 properties, and I don't wanna go look at 60 properties. I want us just to go look at the 6 to 10 very best properties that are on the market, okay? What did I just do?
Close them in.
I closed them in, that's exactly right. Now, if we start having looked at 8, 9, 10 properties, what's their mindset telling them?
This is one, that's the one, if they wanna continuously go, they want me to have it.
Yeah, I've already seen the best on the market, okay, cause I knew we were looking at the 6 to 10 best, so it's not gonna get better than this. And I'm really, kinda going outside the norm now. If 6 to 10 was normal, and we're now looking at 12 and 13, okay, they start feeling a sense of urgency, okay, so that's part of that setting expectations and saving time. Then I talk about what making an offer's like, negotiating terms, and finalizing the contract, and then I explain to them then 3 different things start happening at one time, okay? You and me, we're gonna take care of getting the property inspected. If there's any issues, we're gonna try and negotiate through that. We're gonna finalize the contract, and then the last thing that we'll do together right before closing, we'll go do a final walkthrough and make sure everything still looks good. Well, while we're doing that, you and your lender are gonna be working to get your financing done, okay? You're gonna be going through underwriting, the appraisal's gonna get done, we're gonna get our clear to close, and there's gonna be a document you have to sign a minimum of 3 days before closing. So you need to be keeping your eyes on your email, and anytime your lender says, I need this, you get it to them immediately. We don't wanna wait. Anything from your lender is super priority. And then the closing attorney is gonna be working on getting us clear title, you know, and there's a conversation to have throughout this whole thing. And here's what I'll be doing with you at this time, you know, this is why you want me by your side.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you suggest to your buyer, like, apart from the home inspection and, home warranty,
Mm-hmm.
radon, all of that stuff, do you suggest for
If it's a concern of theirs, then I will. It does get mentioned, you know, when we're talking about the inspect the property, okay? I'm having a conversation that this is our opportunity to do any inspections we need to do to be comfortable moving forward. So most buyers are familiar with hiring a home inspector, but the scope of what a home inspector does, you know, they look at everything, but they're not an expert of everything. And so there's certain things they don't look at, and there's other things that they're gonna look at, and they're gonna say, this may be a problem, but you need to talk to an expert, okay? The HVAC system is getting old. Recommend that you have it looked at by an expert. There's some signs of some issues with the foundation, but they might not be issues, they might be issues. Talk to an expert, okay? So, and other things that we may wanna do when we're doing that, we may need a termite inspection. You may want a radon inspection. If there's a pool or a well, you know, those are separate inspections to have. This is our opportunity to do any inspections we need to. So again, it's conversational, but it is in there, okay? And Georgia is a state where we do have to be conscientious about radon, you know, anywhere where you've got stone. Yeah. So now, having had that conversation and gone through that presentation, okay, the natural conclusion being, you know, hey, so does it sound like I'm the right person to help you find your home? You know, I just invested 45 minutes or an hour really finding out what it is that they wanted or needed. Don't you think the answer to that's gonna be yes?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and so you've already got your buyer's presentation there, and you say, well, the next thing to do is to go ahead and put me to work for you. This is how we make it official, okay? And I turn that buyer's brokerage agreement around, and I tell them that this document's called a buyer's brokerage agreement, this is how you hire me, this is what it says. And if all that looks good, I just need you to sign right here, okay? And it's super, super easy. And then we do whatever comes next, okay? And whatever is next, maybe to get pre-qualified, okay? If they had not already gone through that process, before we go look at homes, that one comes first,
Yes.
okay? But either as soon as we get you pre-qualified, or if they're already qualified, the next thing for us to do is go find that home, okay? And I may do search right there with them. I love that. I like doing that. I've got my laptop. Now that I have a clearer picture of what you're looking for, okay? Now I wanna get a sense of your style too. I'd love for us to look at some properties together, okay? And we can do that right then. And we can set up an appointment for us to go look at houses. When are you available to go look at houses? You know, and back there when we were talking about expectations, okay? This is also when I'm letting them know that I'm gonna set you up on a search to where you're getting properties, but here's what you need to know. We're in a competitive market right now. Houses, the best houses don't stay on the market long. So I know it may be challenging, but I'm asking you, if this is important to you, then what we need to do is when something comes on the market, we need to make every effort we can to go and see it that day, the next day at the latest, because properties are just moving that quickly, okay? And that's where it's talking about next steps really comes in, okay? And that we need to be prepared for earnest money. We need to be prepared to make a decision. If we go look at a property and we like it today, okay, what do we need to do today?
Make an offer.
Make an offer today. We're not in an environment where we can afford to sleep on it overnight.
So you gotta
Okay.
make sure they have some kind of money set aside so they can put the earnest offer
Earnest
they
money,
need
yeah.
to.
Okay. Now, is anything that we talked about complicated?
No, just need to know the script.
Yeah, and building your presentation will make the script really easy.
Yes.
You know, it's just a matter of figuring out, do I want this in there or not in there? And what order do I want it in?
And it
And
comes
that
with practice.
You should be able to do that in an afternoon, right?
Okay.
At least to start with, it doesn't have to be the
Now
presentation
that
you're gonna
I
give for the next 20
finally
years.
understand, cause I'm like, I've been kinda gathering what I wanna put in it, but it's off my own, so it was like, oh my God, this is so overwhelming, how am I gonna make this? Now that I'm like, okay, well, here it is, it's right there in command, then you just need it, so you can just tweak whatever you want. It
Yeah.
sounds like it is way
Way
easier.
doable, yeah.
Way doable. You could just, okay, this is what I want, let me just shove it in and make it what I
Well,
want.
I've yet to get on command and all that, so I'll take it
So,
all in.
well, you'll be getting there very soon.
Mhm.
So, bonus slide for today, okay? And this is where we're gonna wrap up today. Buyer and seller satisfaction, okay? And really what I wanted to focus on was the buyer satisfaction. So at the end of the transaction, 62% were very satisfied with their agent, okay? Somewhat satisfied, 31%, somewhat dissatisfied, 5%. That's 36% were only somewhat satisfied or dissatisfied, okay? Why do you think that is? Why are we ever disappointed in something?
We're disappointed because something came up that we did not know about.
That is it, okay? Whatever the experience was, didn't meet our expectations.
For example,
Okay.
if you're gonna hear about, oh, you need to come up with closing costs last minute, and you're like, I ain't got no money, what do you expect me to do?
And whose fault is that gonna be in their mind?
It's
The
gonna be
agent.
yours.
Your fault,
because
because you
you're
didn't
the
let them
expert.
know. That is exactly right.
And then that
And
could have
so-
saved us in the budget and what we looked at for the house.
They could have been planning, making adjustments, finding that money for 30 days. They could have been working toward a solution to that. And so I tell you that to take you back, the reason that 36% of people have a only okay experience or a bad experience, more than any other reason, is because they didn't have the right expectations. And I honestly believe the number one reason they didn't have the right expectations is because the agent never set them for them. They never had a consultation with them and sat down and really laid it out, that here's what's gonna happen. Here's where the hiccups can be, and here's how we're gonna handle it, you know?
And that's what happened, I think, even when I sold my house this year. Like 3 days before closing, the agent called and said, if I can bring like $3,000 to closing. I said, no, that's not in the contract, that's not happening. Well, he needs it to move. I was like, what the hell, what?
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, you should have looked out for your buyer. These are things you talk about beforehand. So at least you'd have said, okay, this is what we're offering. The seller needs to bring this amount, and then you get that in the
Oh, sure.
contract, and then you don't have that issue.
Because great thing, I mean, you mentioned, contributions to closing. Your typical buyer doesn't, they know I need 3.5% to put down. They've heard that over and over again for the FHA loan. Well, they also need their closing costs, okay? And 10 years ago, that maybe wasn't such well, 10 years, big extreme, 5-6 years ago, most of the closing costs the sellers were willing to pay to get the properties. That's not the case today. So buyers that maybe had their closing costs 5 or 6, 7 years ago, it's a huge eye opener for them now, and people aren't telling that story. And I need my earnest money, and I need to pay for an inspection, and I need to pay for an appraisal, okay? All they're thinking is, I need my down payment, and they think that they're good. They don't realize that other stuff. Disappointment is when you set that right expectation,
Right.
okay? You give them the opportunity before we get in the car and we go look at houses for them to tell you that's not a problem or that is a problem.
And
Okay.
I felt bad for him too, because 3 days before closing, you're calling me to bring you money.
So, alright, guys, any, questions, answers? Q&A, I think, is our last slide right there.
Q&A.
Q&A.
Go ahead, girl.
No, I think I got a better understanding of how to lay it out. My biggest scare was the presentation, how to put it together. I'm like, how am I gonna show up without our presentation? So now I have it, knowing that I can do it and how to do it. It makes me more confident in
Oh, please, yes.
going out to think like, okay, well, you know what? Yes, you were ready to see your client.
And really, and I'm not suggesting doing it, but if you showed up with just that chart of here's what the process looks like, and a blank tablet for you to take notes on. That's really all you need, right? Everything else is kind of window dressing, okay? You've got reminders of the questions, and you've got a nice, pretty looking presentation that makes you look professional. If I just showed up with one page of here's the process and my blank sheet of paper to keep notes on, I don't exactly look like the pro. But I show up with my nice binder and I've got a nice printed presentation, that's all part of my branding that's with them too. But I just want you guys, you don't need a lot for that presentation.
I think
Okay.
it all boils down to the relationship at the end of the day, cause my realtor that I hired, when I hired her, she was not technological savvy. I had to help her. But she was dedicated and she was genuine, which, she was looking out for my
Was
best
enough to earn
interest.
your
It was
business.
enough to earn my business.
Oh.
That I'll deal with that part of it. I'll help you out because I can.
That's the same
Get
way
that
with my
part.
realtor when I was buying my house.
But it also
I-
lets you know, don't be that realtor.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
I
know
found-
your
I
technology,
found-
you know your tools.
I found the house myself, not through any listing she sent me. I just kept looking where I want, all over the place and stuff, and I did all that too, and some of the places she was like, how did you get this? I was like, I need a realtor,
Well,
how am I?
She was honest.
She didn't understand exactly what you were looking for, probably.
And I was like, oh, this is so cool.
All right, guys. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Hope you got a lot out of it.
As always,
Call me,
yes,
text me,
thanks.
email me if I can help you.
All right, thank you, man, we have a